specialist DP UFOologist Paul Wellborn from North Yorkshire in the UK, and you're watching the Alien Strand podcast with your amazing host Donald Ledesma.
AlienStrand.com, the official website.
Everybody, welcome to this episode of Alien Strand Podcast. I'm your host, Donald Ledesma, and welcome to today's show. Man, it's going to be an exciting one, but I got some bitter, sweet kind of news, okay, guys? So don't get upset with me, but apparently my guest is he lives in Oregon, all right? So they're having a really, really bad storm out there, and he's just having a hard time connecting, and I believe his phone just crapped out on him, so he wasn't able to actually sign in or do anything to get up on the show. Now, that does not make it a bad thing, right? So it just kind of gets us going a little bit more, right? So we're gonna try to get a lot more information to you guys today, because you know what? Now you tell me. It's up to you guys. Do you want me to go forward? I can go forward. I got some excellent videos, and I got some excellent stories to show you guys of Bigfoot, man. So it's up to you, and we can keep on going. And I think we should. Give me a thumbs up if you think we should keep going, and I'll keep on giving you some more information on everything. Now, yeah, I know that we had some issues, things like that. Thank you, Heidi, for sharing to the group. Also, that we really appreciate you for doing that, because we were having some issues, right? The same things were happening in the dead center of my podcast. We got blanked out, right? You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of this episode. I don't know if you've seen it, but I played it on my audio podcast of the one with on Coast to Coast, man, when this guy calls in from Area 51. Everything's just kind of going crazy. He's trying to get all the information down, and then they cut the whole feed on the whole radio station, right? Then the backup power comes on, right? So they keep on going, right? It kind of reminded me of that a little bit, right? But we weren't able to come back, right? But we were still playing on YouTube. If you're watching right now, thank you for watching on YouTube. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe. If you're watching on X, you can still comment. Your comments will come through, and I'll put them up there on screen for you guys, all right? So, and we're on Instagram Live. So if you're watching on Instagram, go to our Facebook, Alien Strand Podcast, on Instagram. You'll be able to check us out there as well, man. And, we're live on audio on Spreaker. So if you guys are driving right now, don't have a chance to watch the video, it's okay. I'm going to pour a link. I'm going to but I'm going to put a link on this podcast to, after it's done. And you guys can, on the audio, you guys can click on it. It'll take you to their YouTube channel and you can watch it there. Now, it's a good thing that we can go on different platforms, right? Because when those things happen to folks, and they're not supposed to, because we're supposed to work together as a team. Hello, come on, man, help me out here. We're trying to get all this information out to you guys, man. And then somebody just had to pull the plug because they got upset. Yada yada yada. Okay, we're gonna leave that alone. I'm not gonna go any further with that. But if you can join us on Alien Strand Extra. So if you've got a Patreon app, go check that out. Download the Patreon app. There's a free one there. You can go and a free one on Alien Strand Extra. So go check that out. I'm going to have some new stuff coming up on there. I know I've been saying that, but, I've been trying to push a lot of this stuff on both sides, but I'm going to get some more content out on Extras. That's stuff that you're not going to see here, right? You're going to just see it on that platform only. So go check that out. We'll have some merch there for you guys. Now, tonight's he had to cancel. It's okay. We'll get him back on the show, man. So that's not a big deal, but we still have a lot of information to show you guys. Now, the middle two, all right, CE3, the visitors, I was able to put it on VINMEO, okay? So it used to be on Roku's, okay? So it's not on Roku anymore. Apparently, I just found this out. But you can go to the Vimeo, their page, or click one of our links there on Alien Strand or Alien Strand Disclosure Project. You can click those and you will be able to, it'll take you to the actual movie. Now, you can actually view the movie and rent it, and you can be able to rent it for 3 days. It's a 3-day rental, and you can actually mirror it to your television set, right? So you're able to do that with your iPhones or whatever you have. You can still mirror it. And if you have an iPad, you're watching it, you can still mirror it to the television as well, okay? So it's not like it's a lost cause, but you can still support us if you want to see the middle part two. It's a great film. We're getting a lot of great reviews on it. People are so excited after they watched it, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's going to do very well. I know it is. All right. So the middle tetralogy, it's going to be coming out. Like I said, we already have 1 and 2 out already. We're going to have part 3 that I'm working on now, and then at the later part of the year, we'll have the middle part 4. Now, all these have a lot to do with alien encounters, right? Extraterrestrial encounters, up close, personal things that happen to people on a one-on-one basis, and how this affects their lives. All right, so you'll be able to see that and listen to them with their own mouths, man. None of this is scripted. All right, just remember that none of any of these films are scripted. They're all on the fly, and they all come together because I think it comes together as a great, wonderful story, as you guys should see it. Now, we're still waiting for it on Prime, and I'm sure it will come out on Prime. We're on 13 channels. If you watch the middle part 1, we're still having people watch the middle part 1. I've been seeing a lot of podcasts channels out there that are actually starting to post on the movie, the middle part 1. It's been out in early 2023, but it's okay. It's still doing well. I'm just glad that you guys were still able to see it on these platforms. I was kind of scared when I first put it out. I was like, man, then maybe they're only going to put it out for 30 days and they're just going to boot it out. No, man, we got 13 channels and we have 26 other channels that bought it. So we still got a long way to go. All right. So don't forget to follow us on Alien Strand Disclosure Project, because there's no I in team. We all work together as one for disclosure. All right. Now, let me bring that out to you just a little bit. All right. So what we do here at Alien Strand, it has a lot to do with disclosure. Everything that we do here is disclosure, and we're trying to show you guys exactly what's happening out there in the world, right? And all we do is we just give you the information as it comes out, right? And when we do that, we always leave it up to you to decide whether you believe it or you don't. We're not forcing any of this stuff on you. It's up to you to decide every time, okay? So just kind of remember that, and and like Terry always says, disclosure starts with your respect, and that's what it's about. You know what I mean? So we don't put anybody down or anything like that. We all work together as one, because you know what? we're a team, you know, like it's like I don't know if you saw that movie Big Mama, you know, when she says, you know, it's we're our family is like a hand, right? And each of us are like 5 fingers, right? And when you put those fingers together, it makes a mighty fist because it'll make a mighty blow, right? And that's what happens with ufologists as we stick together as one, right? So this is exactly the same concept, and I just want to make sure that you guys know that, you know, and kind of remember what we do here as a team. Now, you know, today's topic, you know, I know it's going to be, you know, I wanted to talk to Mr. Jacob, and we're going to get him on the show. We're going to get him on another show, so don't worry. I have a lot of content here to show you guys on Bigfoot. All right, so, and we always try to figure out exactly Bigfoot. Who are they? You know, what is this thing? What is this bipedal creature that, you know, that we always, you know, just are amazed to see, right? And we're just dumbfounded every time this creature comes out of the open, right? And of course, we have the Patterson video on the right, which when they found out it was a female, and you know, we have a couple of them up closer, like they hide behind things, you know, and these things are like in the shadows, right? And we always notice that they're always watching, right? When you, especially on these high forestry areas, of course, they're not going to be out in the open. There's usually is sometimes you'll get a video or two when you see them on an open plain running or walking or whatever, you know, minding their own business. Now, is it me, or does it kind of look like that these things are starting to get more laxed and more relaxed around human beings, right? And I'm not saying for you guys to go and, you know, search for these things and try to strike up a conversation and have a cup of coffee with one of these things. No, that's not what I'm saying. These things are not, you know, they are very territorial, right? And they tend to give off signals, right? They'll be knocking on trees, you know, they'll do the whoop sounds, you know, they usually late at night, you know, they communicate with each other, they grunt, they growl. But these growls and their vocalizations are so, you know, strong that they say that when you hear it or you buy one, it literally rumbles the inside of your body, right? So makes you believe that these things are massive, right? They're 10, 12 feet, possibly, you know, 8 to 10 feet. I think the smallest we've ever seen is like 8 feet. But, you know, these things can grow up to 12 feet tall. Right? Are they connected with a Nephilim, right? Are they these giants that their DNA blood are still out there and they just live out there in the forest areas, you know, where they're just trying to still survive, and they're just, you know, they live their lives in these manners that where, unfortunately, there's more people now. Right? And so we're going to see these things. Our populated areas are getting larger and larger and larger, right? So, of course, it's going to be even more people are going to see and witness these things, you know, over and over, right? So, and I got this video, and I want to show you this. This is a hiker in, I remember exactly where it was at, but he's a hiker, right? And he was out there just minding his own business, and he happened to capture these sounds, right? So let's watch this video, listen closely, turn up your audio, and just listen to the sounds of the Sasquatch or Bigfoot. Check it out. you can hear the vocalizations of these things. It's almost like a scream, like a mid-tone. It doesn't have the lower tones, right? But I mean, it was able to scare the hell out of this guy. Now, if you saw in the video, he's showing the exact footprints. Now, you could see these footprints are massive, right? He's showing you the footprint in the video, right? And you could tell that this thing was massive and it was walking in the mud. So apparently, I guess this thing was actually kind of stalking him in a sense, right? Because it kept on getting closer to him, and he just said, the hell with this, I'm out of here, right? And a lot of people do that because you don't know exactly what you're going to come across at that given time and moment, right? And, it's a scary thing, man. It's a scary thing. A lot of these Bigfoot, they'll make their themselves seen around children, about people sometimes. Sometimes they'll come super close, right? To where it's going to be almost like, oh my God, what is this thing that I'm looking at? Now, it's whether it's probably being inquisitive or it's just trying to figure out exactly who we are, and we're trying to figure out what it is at the same time. But it's a scary thing because this thing is huge and it's massive, right? So, and I am going to back something up with this. We have another video here, and I want to just show you real quick. This is in 2006 in California. Now, there was this kids out there in the wilderness. They were kind of like just walking around, and they got spooked by something. Now, watch this video because this thing is massive. It's probably about 2 minutes long, maybe a little less. But check this out. Tell me what you think about this. Now, out there in audio world, so what happened was there was this guy's walking on a log, this like a light brown looking, it almost, to me, at first I thought it was an orangutan, right? That's the first thing that came out of my mind when I first seen this, right? And it just kind of approaches them, then it turns around and it hightails it out of there. And it's kind of walking kind of side to side at first. Then it starts sprinting and jumping over things, right? So, but it's running in a way of almost humanistic in a sense, the way its body is. And at the very end of this video, did you see the mass on the shoulders? And then you could see the arm, the whole arm, the muscle, the mass that was on the arm of the upper right arm of this beast while it was running across. Now, I noticed that, and that thing is, to have arms like that and a mass like that, this thing is stronger than whatever. It could pull trees out of the ground. Now, to come across something like that would probably scare the hell out of a lot of people, right? And which it probably did that day, right? And just for that to happen to folks, it really it kind of throws this thing in your mind. I don't know whether to be scared or I don't know whether to be inquisitive to look for this thing, right? And it could terrify a lot of people, right? You don't know how to react to something like this when you see it up close. Now, hearing it from a distance is one thing. Seeing it and seeing the mass is another thing of this creature, right? That we don't know anything about, right? And it can really mess you up upstairs. You know what I mean? It can put you in a different state of mind when you don't realize exactly what you're seeing, just like the extraterrestrial events that happen to folks as well, right? And not just that. I mean, it's the sounds too that these things they're making that just throws you off. It's not human, right? And I'm going to throw out one more video so you guys can see this real quick. And it's the sounds, but it's in Canada, right? A lot of these Bigfoot encounters, Sasquatch encounters have been happening a lot in the northern part of the United States. Or not the United States, but up in Canada. So a lot of these videos do come from there. If you go online and you go look, a lot of these videos are from Alberta, places up in that area. You know, there's a lot of mass sightings up in that area. So check this out. Listen to what's happening in the background. Watch this.
What that is? I don't know. Scary.
That's pretty unnatural, man. That is pretty unnatural. Those sounds right there. And this is during the day, so it's not like, remember when people used to see UFOs and it was only at night? Now we're seeing them during the day. Well, same thing with the Sasquatch. Now, Sasquatch they're just not making these noises at night. They're doing things during the day as well. I mean, this can actually, like I said before, it can actually mess with your mind upstairs, right? There's people out there that can't really cope with what they're seeing sometimes, or even what they're hearing, because these sounds are pretty terrifying, right? Facebook users, I can't imagine running into this one. I wouldn't either. A lot of people tuck tail and run, and what can you do, right? And Rosie says, I crap myself. Yeah, exactly. This is what would happen out there, to a lot of people that witness a lot of these things, right? Now, what I was talking about before, how it affects your psyche, your psychological thinking after seeing something like this, it's really, it can be effective to people to where it really bothers them and it puts them in a different state of mind, right? And so, and it happens not just to people that witness the Sasquatch event, but it happens to a lot of folks in the extraterrestrial world, as far as contactees, abductees, things like this, right? And we always talk about how they should just make a special, just a category just for ufology and of the unknown for people that do suffer with this traumatic stress, right? Because it is post-traumatic stress. When you see something like this, it'll give you mental stress, anxiety from a sighting, right? And it does do that to people. A lot of people don't think that it does, but it actually does. Now, I found this small article where this gentleman says that he wrote a paper on this, and he found that it says, I've had an encounter, but in college I wrote a paper on the psychological impact of a Sasquatch sighting. It says, of the 76 people I spoke with, either in person or on the phone, 60 of them seemed to be more sincere and believable. These folks' reactions ran the gauntlet from healthy curiosity and becoming full-blown agoraphobic. I'm sorry, from the complete fixation of proving that they witnessed and what they did not tell another soul, right? So they kind of kept it to themselves. He says, honestly, that was one of my best college memoirs that he wrote. So, and that does tell you a lot of what happens to people in that state of mind, right? Because it can bother folks. Okay, we just never hear this side of it. We never hear this side of it, and I've watched videos where people, I mean, they're just scared out of their wits. You know, because they're in their tent, they're hiding, they're crying because something's walking around out there that they don't understand exactly what it is, right? And then afterwards, they won't go back into the woods, right? Agoraphobia, right, is a type of anxiety disorder of a person with agoraphobia is afraid to leave the environments they know are considered to be safe. In severe cases, a person with agoraphobia considers their home to be the only safe environment. They may avoid leaving their home for days, months, even years, right? And I believe that. I believe that is a part of PTSD and things that people do suffer from on a daily basis, because these occurrences do happen, and it's just like the ufology community, right? Back in the day, there was a lot of stories out there that weren't told because people were afraid to say it, because a lot of things that they were going through, as far as the witnessing the events, thinking that they're crazy, things like that, right? They didn't want people to know these things, right? And they kept it to themselves. So when a lot of people, you know, back in the day, they thought they were crazy and they would say, no, I saw something. And, you know, people would automatically put them in the insane asylum, started giving them electric shock therapy, things like that, because they just couldn't speak their mind of what they had seen or had witnessed, right? So there is a psychological effect from something like that, right? And it's just something that I want you guys to understand, that part of it as well. Not just the exciting part about seeing and witnessing these things, but, you know, it's the psychological part too. And that's what we're about here, just with our disclosure. We're about you, right? Because we want to make sure you're okay, right? When you witness anything as far as extraterrestrial, Sasquatch, anything like that. Andrew out there says the sounds scare me more than the sight. I believe that. It says, what are your thoughts on Bigfoot, Donald? Have you ever heard or seen a Bigfoot? You know what? That's one thing I have not seen. I've heard out there what I thought was a knock, you know, when I was out there camping and stuff. I camped a lot in New Mexico, out there in that area. And, I mean, a lot. I love to camp. I love to be out there in the middle of nowhere. So, you know, and it's kind of hard to tell. But I was always inquisitive and wondering about what the things that I was hearing and seeing. That's a great question. Thank you for telling me that. Facebook user says that was so sad back then. You know, what I was talking about, what happens to folks, right? You know, and I just don't want to be the only one talking today. So I invited a guest here today. Of course, everybody knows him. Everybody loves him. And let's go ahead and bring on Mr. Terry Lynch. We're going to talk a little bit about Sasquatch out there in the Washington area. All right.
Hello, everybody. Welcome from the middle.
All right, buddy. How you doing?
Well, we got about 4 feet of snow in my front yard right now, and a lot more coming.
Oh wow.
Yeah. I was looking at some of the facts that take place up in the state of Washington. They've had over 700 sightings in that state alone.
Wow.
And like the Spokane area, there was 86, I believe, is what they were stating. Hello. Anyway, they have a lot of sightings throughout this section of the Cascades here. Like right through where I live, we have something called the Wendigo. The Bigfoot's also known as a Wendigo. That's one of his names. There's Yeti. There's all kinds of different names for Sasquatch.
Right.
but the Indians around here, they called him the Wendigo. And there's this trail I had taken us on to back when we made the movie, and there was some petroglyphs that were on that trail. Next time you're up here, we'll go back to that location, and I'll show you a little further down that trail where there's a lot more of the paintings of the Wendigo.
Yeah.
However,
I remember going down there, and the only reason we couldn't go down to the very bottom is because it was beautiful down there, very woodsy, because it was raining and it was getting too slippery to go way down there at the bottom.
That's right. We had a lot of equipment.
To haul. So, anyway, you said that there's people were spotting Sasquatch and Bigfoot in that area as well, right?
Yes, they are. This is one of the more known areas in the state of Oregon where you see them. But up further north, they seem to have far more sightings up in the Washington State area. Depending on where you're at, like around Mount Adams, they have a cross between UFO and Bigfoot sightings up through there. But there's people that specifically go out and they're looking for them.
Right.
And they're trying to get footage just like I do when I go out trying to get UFO footage. There's people out there that spend their whole time dedicated just trying to find Bigfoot.
Right.
This like our guest, your guest that was supposed to be on tonight, Jake. He was clear over in South Dakota. That's where he had his sightings.
Right.
It seems to me like this is something that's kind of widespread across. I think I brought this up a couple different times. The description that we've got here is almost identical to what they had described from Easter Island, all the way over in Peru, up in the mountains. They called them cloud people, I believe. And then over here in Idaho, there was a large tribe of giant red-haired people.
Right.
That were that the Indians had trapped into a cave, and they tried to kill them off because they were cannibals.
Yeah,
and they would eat people from the tribes.
Well, so that's that's where the name Wendigo comes from. You said that it was a Wendigo is a cannibal. So
as a cannibal,
yeah, and I remember that's in the actual movie because you actually say that in the documentary, the middle of the first movie. We're talking about that how if you there's the petroglyph that was up on the wall it was giving you a sign that if you saw that it was a warning sign to anybody out there that you were going to get eaten. So don't go in that area. So it's almost like a stop sign or what our warning signs are all, right?
It was definitely a warning sign. If we would have went just a little further down that same trail, again, we had a lot of equipment with us that day. If we would have went just a little further down, there's a petroglyph that they call the Grand Wendigo. It's a much
Right.
larger picture, and this one, the Wendigo looks like he's got antlers.
Right.
They tell the story differently as things go along, but it's always a giant red-haired beast is the way they pretty much describe it.
Right. I mean, it could be a giant. It could be a Bigfoot, like the Kandahar giant. It was eating people too, right?
Yes, and he was a giant redhead. He was giant red-haired, and he killed a whole platoon,
right,
of people that went up there.
Well, he killed. He killed one. He killed one soldier, and then they pumped like over 100 or 1,000 rounds into this thing, and they were able to take him down. So
the reason that in particular group went up there is because they had lost a full unit.
Oh,
they didn't know where the unit went.
Okay.
And that's why the special forces team went in to try and find out what was going on. When they went up into that location, they found bits and pieces of uniform and all kinds of stuff scattered all around just before they got to this cave.
Wow.
And then when they got to the cave, that's when that spear came out and got that one soldier, and then they unloaded everything they had on it.
Wow. Well, I got this. I got this video. I want you to hear this, Terry, and I want everybody to hear this out there. It's about maybe 2 minutes long. Just kind of bear with it. It's 4 pieces of audio that somebody was out there in the woods in a tent. Now, the sounds that you're going to hear, the vocalization, it's going to sound like it's right next to him, okay? So just listen to the vocalizations of these Sasquatch or Bigfoot up in the mountains, and just tell me what you think. I mean, you'll hear the low, deep grunts and growls. So, and let me know what you guys think. Now, it's going to be a black screen, so it's going to show words. Read it, check it out, but listen. This is where it's at. You got to listen for it. Here we go.
It's Friday, May 10th. It's about 4 a.m. I'm in my tent. This is on the video camcorder. So we know he's around. And hopefully we're going to get some more vocals. Just going to let this run until the battery runs out, or the tape, whichever comes first. That is the Sasquatch right there.
Wow. Now, as you notice, it's raining. He was in his tent. Now, it's not like, we're glamping like a lot of us, or not a lot of us, but some of us have really nice campers and stuff. You can be inside, kind of, you feel a little secure. But in a cloth tent or anything like that, and it's raining, and you hear this thing next to your tent making these freaky noises, man. What do you think about those vocalizations? What's going on with him? I mean, I don't know exactly the backstory of it, but it looked like he was in Ontario, Canada.
Yeah, it definitely was trying to communicate with, if not him, another one around him. It almost sounded like two different voices to me.
Yeah, it did.
It's like one was saying something, the other was replying. Yeah, that's, you're kind of far out, and you're sitting inside of your tent and you're hearing something like that. It's probably best to stay sitting and stay put and stay quiet when you hear something like that, and not draw any attention to yourself. That would just be good advice.
Right.
Because if you were to get out of your tent, take off running, screaming, trying to get away from this, well, now it knows where you're at for sure.
Exactly.
If it doesn't already.
Exactly.
It probably could smell the difference in the air. From the different things I've heard, you can actually smell them when they're getting close. Because they don't use Head and Shoulders or
Right.
anything like we do.
Exactly.
But my understanding, you can smell them as they get closer to you.
Well,
And it's kind of a musky smell, from my understanding.
right. Well, I guess because all the dead animals they eat and stuff like that. Because I mean, I've never seen a Bigfoot in front of a fire with a pan cooking something, right? I mean, I'm sure they eat it raw. They eat it just like that, and I'm sure they want it fresh, right? And if they get they might get a carcass that's pretty old. Now, I mean, and it makes sense, right? If you kind of think about the ingestion of the food, the meat. Now, like if a person eats a lot of onions or a lot of garlic, it'll start coming through their pores, right? The onions, the garlic, things like that. So naturally, if these things are eating things like this, then of course they're gonna smell pretty bad. Now, I don't know if you've gone up to a vulture after maybe somebody hit it by accident, and you walk up to a dead vulture. Oh my God, these things smell horrible. They smell horrible because of all the crap they're eating on, of dead animals, carcasses, old stuff, right? And it's a possibility that these things, they have to survive. They're massive, right? And of course, they have to have a lot of protein in order to have that mass. So, I mean, for them to be that close to that guy, it maybe they were trying to communicate with him to be that close. You know what I mean? They had to have known he was there. Had to have.
It kind of sounded like they were trying to be a little bit softer with their voice,
right?
In comparison to some of the other stuff I've heard in the past. These ones almost were either trying to communicate with him or each other, but they weren't. They didn't actually sound real aggressive.
Right.
There was one point there where I don't know if it was just turned up more or what. That part did sound kind of aggressive, like it was really close.
Right.
And then it was back kind of off in the distance again, and you kind of hear an echo with the two of them. But it does again. It does. It sounds like there's two of them communicating.
Yeah, and I guess he was out there looking for him because he had 3 really nice microphone recorders with him. Right. So, because it showed a Sony this and then a Panasonic that, whatever, Sony. So he was actually probably looking for these things. He may have had some kind of communication with these things. So, hey, he got some really nice vocalizations on that actual recording. Now, I want to show you something, Terry, and this is what we always talk about when we were talking about. We bring it up, not always, but we bring it up. On the Sasquatch, the mass, how powerful these things are, how powerful they can be, right? So I have this video. I wasn't able to edit it very well, but it might delay for about the first 20 seconds. But in this video, you're going to see I guess it's like a medium-sized Sasquatch maybe, and it's going to go up to a tree, rip it out, and throw it. Okay. So, and you're going to see it do this. I want you guys to kind of look when this video comes up, look to the left a little bit and you'll see, the black figure, kind of furry figure. It's going to look kind of strange at first, but you'll make it out. You'll see what it's doing. So here goes. Let's check this out real quick.
What are your thoughts on this one? Drop a comment.
Now, did you see this thing? That's a piece of oak. The second one that he lifted up, this thing lifted up, and you can hear by the smash of how heavy this tree was that it lifted up and it smashed up against the trailer or something. So that wasn't like a dash cam, or what do you call those cams that are on the
GoPro?
Yeah, like a game cam or something like that. That was on there. Now, what did you think about that video there, Terry?
Well, here in the Northwest, a lot of us like to cut our own firewood.
Right.
And there was a year I was out and I was cutting firewood, and I stumbled up on what we call granny wood. That's something that's already been cut and it's left alongside. It's fair game.
Right.
Okay. If they don't take it, the U.S. Forestry wants the next person that's actually out there to take it.
Okay.
And so I came up on a pile of this stuff. I was loading some of it in my truck, and U.S. Forestry, of course, sitting there watching me, making sure I'm putting tags on stuff. I went to pick up a piece. It was about 4 foot tall.
Okay.
And it was, say, about 25 inches round.
Okay.
It was pretty good round at 4 foot. By the time I got that into the back of my truck, I had to sit inside my truck for about 15 minutes because I thought I was about to have a heart attack. That shit was so heavy.
Wow.
And green wood, like what he just did there, just in that size for me, it hurt me. I mean, it literally physically, it hurt me to move a 4 foot chunk that was that big around. And what that thing just did was it picked it up like it was a baseball bat and threw it.
Like a 20 foot.
But it was a 20-foot version of what I'm talking about. And it was still in the ground.
Yeah, he pulled it out of the ground with the roots and all.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw it and I heard the cracking and everything as it broke it. That was freaking amazing.
So what I did was, on that video, it was hard to see, but you can actually see its face, okay? So what I did was, on the video, I grabbed a still shot and I blew it up. Of course, it's going to be a little distorted. Nothing's ever clear, right? But we're going to be able to get a nice look at this creature, whatever it was, that was freaking stronger than I've never seen before. So here's the photo.
That's definitely not a bear.
Yeah. Now you notice that it has like features of a human being.
Yeah. It sure does.
It's covered with hair. You can tell the shoulders are pretty big. And we all know that these things don't have much of a neck. This is the thing that pulled that stump out of that ground that was embedded in the earth and flung it like it was a little small branch to us, right? And then he picks up another one, which is heavier than crap, and slams it on that trailer, against that trailer. So this is,
man,
I've never seen a face of a, if this is a medium-sized Sasquatch or whatever it is, I mean, that was the best shot I got of its face. Okay. Out there in audio world, it just looks like a man with a lot of hair everywhere, a long beard, but you can see like a nose and eyes, in a sense, on this image. But whatever it was actually lifting up trees and uprooting and doing things that are unheard of by any man. Like a Facebook user says out there, that's an above average man can't do that, right?
No, there's
no way.
No, I don't think Andre the Giant could do that.
Nope.
I don't think he had to give in. His hands were like 5 times the size of mine.
Exactly. And mind you, I forgot all about this video. I've had it with me for about 3 months. 3 months, because I've been wanting to bring it up on a really good Bigfoot show. And I was just kind of holding on to it. And then when I came across it today, I was like, you know what? I forgot I did this. And I'm just glad that you guys were able to see this tonight. In Audio World, you guys need to go to the video and go see this on YouTube. Go check that out. It's something that it's unbelievable. It's almost hard to fathom what you were witnessing when you're watching that video.
Yeah, that right there's that's a pretty good shot of it, man.
Yeah, that's just massive, bro. Whatever that is, whatever it was.
I can hear in the distance behind me right now, the one and only neighbor that likes to get out during this time.
Right.
He's racing his snowmobile down our back streets here. He doesn't have to worry about running into anybody tonight.
Well, not tonight.
Nobody else can get out.
So, Facebook, a YouTuber out there, Dara Being Bun says, no person could do that. My dad could not do that. He was a logger for 50 years.
Yeah, that's.
They're asking me.
I had seen it wasn't too long ago. I had seen it was like a video on a group of loggers up in Alaska that they had spotters. These guys were spotters, and they had guys that were fallers, and then they had guys that were choker setters.
Right.
Well, the choker setter heard something, and he told him, give him a timeout so that shut everything down, wouldn't try and pick anything up. And he was trying to get closer to something he had seen up there. And the two spotters said that they could see it clearly, and it was a Bigfoot.
Wow.
The thing was trying to be territorial in an area that they were cutting. I'll have to find out more information about that and bring it on a later date.
I think I heard that story. This was, yeah.
Did you hear that story?
I think I did hear that story.
Yeah, it was a logging company. They go up to this in particular area. It's really out in the middle of nowhere where these guys are. I think the closest town's like 50 miles from where they are, and every night they go back into the town for resting up. But they have so many days that they're allowed to be up in there because they've only got so many days without snowfall and things like that in this location.
Yeah.
And the area at this point is like summertime. The only time they're allowed to be in this location. Have to have a permit. Like in Alaska, you're not allowed to just go wander away from your car. You have to have a licensed guide with you if you're out there wandering around. So you can't just go up to Alaska and go hiking.
Right.
You have to pay a guide. Wow. And I think that's part of the reason why they don't want you like walking into a grizzly or something to effect like this.
Right.
Donna, do you know where this in particular video was taken?
I don't. I got to remember where it was at, but I'll. And I didn't think about that, but I mean, if we had somebody that knew trees, and because the trees look like a different kind of tree, that knows those kind of what kind of trees they are, what areas they're at, probably would get a better idea of the geology of where this place is at. Donald Desmond says it looks like a big burly man. Yeah, it does. It says it's Bill from Colorado Springs, guys. I think he's talking about the story you're talking about. Maybe Terry. It might be that. I don't have words, man. When I saw that, and I still don't have words for it. Of exactly what the people are seeing. Now, I don't know if you guys go to it's a website called bfro.net. All right, that's bfro.net. .net. Now on that one, it's about Bigfoot, and what they do is they report all the Bigfoot sightings all over the United States, and every county, every area, what time, date, everything. So there's this Bigfoot report here. I think I read one last time I was on the show. This was in the state of Washington, right there by you, Terry, not too far. Let's see, Shagmania County, okay, and it says this was at a campsite. So it says this person, it happened on August 5th, 2022, approximately at 2 o'clock in the morning. It says, I was sleeping in my tent and I woke up abruptly for seemingly no reason. It says, woke up to an unexplainable adrenaline rush. Laying there, I began to hear sounds coming from probably no more than 50 to 100 feet behind our tent. It says 5 or so sounds of grunting and whoops along, and it says, I'm not sure how exactly to describe the noise. It was like nothing I have never heard before. This was not human or a regular animal noise. There was no screams. They were loud, but somewhat of a low pitch, if that makes sense. It says there seemed to be 2 of these beings making these sounds to each other, not just one. After that, I heard several more grumps, whoops, and then they got louder, and then they started hearing wood knocks. It says it was earlier wood on wood. It says it was very heavy and fast wood. It sounded like one of the other beings knocked a few times, and another responded with more knocks down the way. I know what I was hearing was unexplainable, and I was terrified. I laid awake for about an hour of silence. Then I was able to fall back asleep. I knew what I was hearing was unexplainable, and I was terrified. So this happened at 2 o'clock in the morning in Washington. Now, I went to that website, and I noticed that most of the sightings and reports were coming from the Washington area state. A lot of them. There was like over 47 in that general area, in that county that I'm just reading from you, within a year. And then maybe in 2002, they were more further south of Washington, and then it just, the sightings, it seemed to have stopped, and they moved further north. So these things are actually migrating, like, they're moving around basically, and they kind of leave one area for a while, and then they go back, right? So, but it's already been, I was kind of looking at researching it, and that one area seems to have not had any activity in about 7 years. And then everything went to this part of Washington State. So, in other words, that part of Washington State is a hot spot right now for Bigfoot activity.
Yeah, again, around the Spokane area, they've had over 83 sightings, or 86 is what it was. I think I've mentioned this before. My older brother, Larry, he owns 35.5 acres up on top of what's called the Wakanda Summit.
Right.
And I mean, right now they've got 8 feet of snow in his yard, and I think last night they were at 35 below. But during the spring and summertime, it's all melted off and very beautiful green, lush areas. And he happens to own the top of that mountain on the Wakanda Summit.
Right.
He's talking about actually opening up a place where people can go camp and spend a weekend or a week or whatever up there. They'd be roughnecking it. They'd have to hike in, probably park down at his place, but hike up to the top there, and they could put in tents and things. And it overlooks all the way into Canada.
Wow.
Is what the view is. It's the location is between the largest Indian reservation in Washington State and Canada. I think there's a 35-mile gap in between. He's there.
Wow.
During the daytime, you see FA or fighter jets, U.S. fighter jets, FA-18s and stuff flying past, kind of, keeping us safe from the Canadians.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Hey.
Anyway,
I'm sorry.
They call it the sound of freedom there.
I'm sorry.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
You gotta say it right, man. Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry. I hear they like to cross the border saying, "What's this country do?"
Well, I mean, I'm glad your brother's doing that. But so we're coming to the end of our podcast, and I'm still glad we were able to give you guys some information. I hope you were able to see some footage that you'd never seen before, and maybe some sounds that you've never heard before. Maybe you have. I don't know, but here at Alien Strand Podcast, we like to give out a lot of information, so that way you guys can say, "Hey, man, I heard it there, I seen it there, and I saw their evidence." And this is what we do. We're presenting you the evidence. It's up to you to decide what it is, and if you believe it or you don't, it's up to you. The videos tonight were just unbelievable, and I wish I had more. I do have a lot more, but that would just be a 3-hour show, and we do an hour here for you guys, and just to make sure that you guys you stay on your toes. So Terry, what do you got to say to us tonight?
Okay, I've got 2 things to say. One of them is Nikon. Just in case anybody doesn't know, I am Nikon. Nikon, this right here is a 3,000 millimeter Nikon. It gets way out there, reaches. Nikon, sponsor us. We need cameras with ASDP. We need to have equipment like this to be able to get UFOs and Bigfoot. If you put these in all of our hands, all of our researchers' hands, you're going to get results back. And when you get the results back, that means you're going to get more customers with your Nikon, because it is a superior camera for exactly what we're doing.
Exactly.
The second thing I got to say is disclosure starts with your story and respect.
That's right. Exactly. And, it just, I know, hopefully we didn't cut out or we didn't get cut off the air, but we are on and we're strong, man. And like I said, if we all stick together, we can make a powerful entity out of disclosure, and all of us being ufologists and just pushing forward to be the best that we can be. So Terry, thank you for being on the show today. I appreciate you. We're going to we'll get Jacob on again, as soon as he's able to come back, and you guys need to hear his story, man. You have to hear his story, and then we'll get some more Bigfoot footage for you guys. And I hope you guys enjoy this podcast. Please share it, and it's just one of those things that, man. Thank you guys. That's all I can say, man. So Terry, we'll talk to you here in a bit.
All right, we'll talk to you in a minute.
All right, guys. So. Thank you for watching today's podcast. I really appreciate you guys. Like I said, I hope you guys got a lot of information. Follow us on YouTube, X. We're all over the place, man. Facebook. We're on Instagram right now. We're live on Instagram right now. So I hope anybody that's watching out there on Instagram, thank you for watching. If you were watching, I might have got cut off over there. Heck, I don't know. But it's okay. We're going to keep going, and we're going to keep moving forward, man. Like I said, I just want to thank you guys for listening to the show, and then follow us on 26, 27, 28 platforms. Ask Alexa, she'll play you some Alien Strand Podcast. And I enjoyed today's podcast. I love Bigfoot, and I know you guys do too, man. So until then, you guys have yourselves a good day. Have yourselves a good evening, and have yourselves a good night. Alien Strand Podcast. Add it to your favorites. Yeah. Bye.
This is ASDP ufologist Terry Ledge from Oregon. You're watching the mothership, Alien Strand Podcast, with your host, Donald Ledesma.